Oh, here we are. We're live. All right. Oh, whenever I move, it goes out of focus. Sorry. I got my bang today. Sour Heads is really good. I think I'm leaning away from candy at this point and leaning towards Sour Heads and Cherry Blade Lemonade as my favorite bangs at this point. So yeah, as you're coming in, don't forget to say hi so that I can see who's here. Sorry I'm late, you guys. I'm about 15 minutes late getting started. Right when I was about to get going, Jasper came in here saying he had an accident. So he hasn't had one in probably, well, I guess he had one with Dave a few days ago. But he hasn't had very many in the last while. So it was kind of a surprise, and I'm like, oh, great. That's good timing. So that will be why I'm late, but here I am. Like I said before, have my bang with me. And this one is Sour Heads, if you're asking. And another thing I wanted to do as I got started here today, oh my gosh, why does it keep going out of focus today? It usually isn't that bad. I got my Soleil water here and I haven't taken any today. So I thought it would be fun for me to take it on camera for you guys. So I'm going to do that really quickly because I woke up feeling very sodium deprived. And if you understand what keto flu feels like and what it feels like to be sodium deprived, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I felt very like dizzy and just groggy, and I had a hard time waking up this morning. And I know it was because yesterday I left my Soleil water downstairs while I was editing and I didn't go get it, and I didn't have my last dose or two before bed. So, kicking my pants this morning because I didn't get my salt in last night. So I am going to take 2 tablespoons, and if I start choking in front of you guys, I apologize. But this is how I take it. I take it with me in this. If I fill it to the top, it's 2 tablespoons. If I fill it to here, it's 1.5. And 1.5 is what I usually take. So here we go. Not too bad. No choking, coughing, or sputtering. And you have to chase it with a drink. Well, at least I do. The main reason I do, number one reason I do, is because if it sits in my stomach without any food or drink, it burns like heck and it makes me want to throw up. And also, the taste of it in my throat kind of makes me feel like I want to cough. And so, I don't know. I take a drink right after. And if I feel nauseous, then I definitely go guzzle something. Because that's usually why, is because oh my heck, every time I turn. Sorry, I'll try not to look that direction. That's disturbing. Yay! Okay, there's a lot of you here. I need to say hi to you before I get distracted and I forget. So let's see who's here. ADH Snuggles, Patty Montero, Can't Wait, Smells Great Keto. You're the one that I was trying to remember the other day when I was doing shout outs. Can't Wait, Smells Great. She's the one I was trying to remember that I couldn't get the name just right. Can't Wait, Smells Great Keto. Hope I got that right. So you should check out her channel if you haven't. Rachel Milzarek. Hope that's right. Wrinkly Blessings Bulldogs. Ooh, that sounds cute. I love wrinkly doggies. Who doesn't? Rebecca Achrimi. Hi, I'm glad you're finally here. Teresa, Keto Fat Girl No More, is here. She says she's at physical therapy and she's watching me at physical therapy. Hi. That's awesome. Debbie Lyman, good to see you. Sister Frankenstein, hey. Jennifer Angus, hi. Emily's live. She's asking me a question. I am going to go back to that one in just a second. Lady, oh my heck, I forgot. It's Bees, right? Lady Bees, Beaz. Lady Bees, I think. Let's see. Anybody else? Oh, Honest AF, Michelle Bowker. And I think that's everybody. Okay, welcome. All right, 30 of you here already. That's so great. So, the reason I wanted to talk about macros today is because I keep getting people asking me. So, I know I've mentioned my personal fat loss macros like offhand in multiple videos. I've tried really hard to put an iCard to my macros video in order to like lead people there, but it seems like people really aren't seeing that. So I thought if I did a live chat and I called it, what are the best macros for weight loss or fat loss, maybe people would see that and like it would help. I want to make sure that everyone gets that question answered about macros, what mine are, why I use them, and that kind of thing. Now, the video that I am doing with Teresa and Diamond, we're doing a collaboration in a few days. We'll also touch on that, but I just wanted to talk a little bit. So I'm not really going to talk a lot about the type of keto that I do. I am going to talk specifically macros and what mine are and why I think they're the best. And, you know, I mean, the best. I mean, that was more like to get people in here. So there are lots of ways to lose weight on keto. I feel like mine work really well. And so, I mean, maybe they are the best, but they're probably not the best. So there you go. All right. So let's see. First of all, what are my macros? Everybody wants to know what they are. I was hoping a lot more people would be here by the time I said them so that people won't ask me a million times later, but they probably still will. So I personally eat 120 grams of protein every single day. That is my no mess around macro. I hit that every day or a little over every day. I never go below 120. So 120 grams of protein. Then for my fats, I try to keep it under 80. My range is between 70 and 80 most days. I try not to get too far into the 60s because I get grouchy, but I definitely never go below 50 because that will just make me really ornery. Your brain and hormones need a certain amount of fat, dietary fat, in order to function well. You can eat less fat than that. That is another way to do keto, but it's not how I choose to do it because it's not a maintenance kind of thing. It's not a maintaining long-term kind of thing, at least for me, because I get really cranky and I have a lot of kids. So I can't afford to be that cranky all the time. So I try and stick between the 70 and 80 fat gram range. So if that makes any sense. Then for my carbs, like every other keto out there, I try and keep it under 20. 21 is really my number, 21 net, and I try and keep it under there. Occasionally I go over. It's not very often. If I go over, it's only like 3 or so over. And that's usually because I chose to eat spaghetti squash on a day I also had something else that was a little bit more carby, maybe for breakfast. That's another reason I kind of stick to the same breakfast. So if you saw that video of why I do the same meal every day, that's also part of it, is because I know exactly what the macros are for that. And so I can kind of play around with my dinner a little bit more and I don't have to think so hard for the first meal of the day. And I'm kind of a patterns kind of person. I tend to stick to the same thing, order the same thing at restaurants and things like that, which is funny because I'm also a girl who loves change. But when it comes to things like that work, I tend to fall into a pattern, which is probably why I have been able to stay on keto so well. Because when I find something that works, I can stick to things really easily. And I have a hard time giving up things that work. So, for example, in my life, it's difficult for me to like have my kids quit things or for me to quit things in order for new things to come into my life. And so as new things come in, things tend to pile up because I have a hard time letting things go. Does that make sense? So I'm kind of the same way with food. When I find something I really like, I kind of stick to it. So you guys don't have to do that. I was just saying some people might want to. So again, for those of you who just came in, my personal macros are 120 protein, 78 fat, and 21 or fewer net carbs. My protein is a given. I hit it every day. My fats are a lever. I make them higher when I want to maintain. And that's where the confusion, I think, lies. So for the holidays, I actually ate probably between 90 and 150 fat on a given day. I ate fat to satiety during the holidays. I am not one who can eat fat to satiety and lose weight. And that is the reason I use macros. Now, I know Dr. Finney does not recommend macros, which is funny to me because he also says protein is vital and you have to hit it. And if you don't know your protein macro and you aren't tracking it, how do you know if you hit it? Technically, Dr. Finney does advocate macros. He is just saying that he doesn't advocate a hard and fast rule when it comes to fats. So he does advocate having a protein macro that is similar to mine and a fat macro that is that is flexible. And you want to keep your fats lower when you're trying to lose weight. So if you're already eating the low carb, but you're eating the high fat, if you're eating too many calories for your body that your body will burn, like if you're eating the same amount of calories that your body burns, you're not going to lose fat. Or if you do, you're going to lose it more slowly. So for example, when I was eating a higher fat along with the protein, so I never messed with my protein. My protein was always at least 120. I never went low. I did go high occasionally, which may have kicked me out of ketosis, possibly during the holidays. I don't know. I wasn't tracking and I don't test. So I don't test my ketones, so I don't know for sure. But I wasn't trying to lose weight, and so I was okay if it did. Does that make sense? Because I was trying to maintain. I'm playing at maintenance, basically. I'm taking some breaks from my weight loss to see if I can maintain and kind of mess around with it until I'm so thin that I'm going to be stressed out if I can't maintain. So that is why kind of I'm taking these little maintenance breaks. So when I was eating that higher fat, I was still hitting the protein. And you saw, if you've been watching my weigh-ins, so if you haven't watched my weigh-ins, you can go back and binge watch them. They're all in a playlist from the very beginning all the way to the end. And I don't think I've missed any sticking them in there. I hope I haven't. I haven't gone back recently to check and see if I've made sure to get them all in that list. But I try really hard to remember to stick them in the list so they're easy to find and you can binge watch them. You can watch the first few minutes or fast forward to the weigh-in and just kind of see my pattern. I do have a pattern of going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's just kind of how my weight loss goes. And so if you can see my big lung chart, it goes like that all the way down. And it was more dramatic at the beginning, and then it's evened out a little bit as I've gotten closer to goal, which is normal. That's totally normal. At the beginning I was losing 12 to 15 pounds a month, and now I'm lucky if I lose 5. So when I'm doing the same macros, but I'm cool with that because I kind of want things to slow down. At first I wanted to lose weight really fast, and now I want to take my time with it a little bit and just kind of adjust, because every time I lose a pound at this point, my center of gravity's off. I fall. I keep falling. Like I have fallen so many times. It's getting to be a joke now. And I don't know how my body works. And so I take some time to get used to that for a little while. So in the holidays, that's what I was doing. And that's why I'm going back to my fat loss macros. I haven't changed my fat loss macros. I've never used different macros when I'm in fat loss mode. I've always stayed the same. The only difference is that sometimes I will go a little lower on my fats if I feel like I want to lose a little quicker, or if I seem to be hitting maybe a stall. But I have never hit a stall, not even when I was eating the high fat. In the holidays, I still lost 2 pounds every 4 weeks. So I truly did not maintain, I was okay with that, of course, because I still have weight to lose. At that point, I was not worried. At the point when I hit my weight goal, or when I feel like I want to stop, I will be concerned by that. So I'm hoping that my body will just even out, and that eating fat to satiety will be exactly what I need to do to keep things going, and so that I won't have to pack in the fat, but I'll feel like I can eat what fat I feel I need for the day. Does that make sense? So I may not have eaten high fat every single day during the holiday season. I didn't track my fat, and I knew I got enough protein because of my regular meals. I always ate the same amount of protein because I was still eating the same breakfast and dinner, and I was kind of adding fats to that. Does that make sense at all? I hope so. I say that a lot. I notice I'm making this video, the collaboration with Diamond and Keto Fat Girl No More. And I said that 60 million times. I'm going to have to edit it out. Does that make sense? Are you sure? Do you understand me? Huh? I feel like an idiot when I realize that. I also, on the video, messed it up again where I said that carbs had 9 calories per gram. Why can I not get that straight? That carbs and proteins are the same, and fats have 9. Carbs and proteins have 4. Fats have 9. So I'm going to have to bleep that out of the video, or put words under saying, I'm an idiot, I did it again. I don't know why I do that, you guys. I do not know why. My brain, for some reason, really thinks it's right every single time I say it. And then people correct me and I'm like, oh, yeah, got it wrong again. Got it wrong again. So I'm correct this time that protein and carbs have the same amount of calories per gram, 4. And fats have 9. And that's why when you have the super high fat alongside your other protein and whatever macros, that's going to make you have too many calories to lose weight. Now, if you're eating fewer grams of protein, yes, you can get a higher fats level and still lose. I know that Teresa and Diamond are doing great doing that, and that's kind of what our video is about. But for me, I just feel like protein has been the best choice, and that's why I choose to do it. You get more food. Number one, you get more food. And number two, you don't risk losing your lean mass as greatly when you're in fat loss mode. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. Now, we have taken, I say we because I didn't actually do the math. I kind of wish I had sat down and did the math, but I was in such a depression fog from being kicked off of ketogenic dieters last year that I couldn't like wrap my brain around the math. And so Brandy Niemeyer did it for me. And I know I should have done that because I feel like I should own it more, but I can't go back and redo that. What we did was we researched Dr. Finney's recommendation for how much protein for lean body mass. We found average lean body mass numbers online and then figured out how many grams of protein for lean body mass that a person would need. Is it exact? No. Is it perfect? No. Is it a really good guideline? Sure. Do some people have a hard time staying in ketosis on it? We've been told that maybe they do, but they're using pee strips, not blood meters, and so I don't know for sure if that's a thing. Like I said, I've never tested my ketones. I'm not that worried about being in ketosis because I have all the symptoms of being in ketosis, and thus I just assume I am in ketosis. Whether I've been kicked out here and there, does it really matter? No. Has it affected my weight loss? Not really. Am I in this for just ketosis, or am I in this for weight loss? I'm in this for weight loss. I mean, let's be honest. And I honestly do like the feeling of being in ketosis, and I do intend to stay here forever and ever, but I'm not going to stress and test my ketones constantly. That's too much. That would mess with my brain too much. It would make me way too stressed out. So that's why I don't test, and I never have. I may test when I get to my goal weight to see if I can stay in ketosis and have a higher level of carbohydrate so that I can eat more. May. And I mean may. Because I don't even know what more carbs I would eat. I hardly eat vegetables as it is. I always get criticized for not eating enough vegetables. And I'm like, you know what? I just don't really want to eat more vegetables. I eat enough protein that it's enough bulk of food. I don't really like eating my vegetables. And so I take a multivitamin instead. Because the only thing that vegetables have that you need is micronutrients. Everything else you don't need. You don't even need the fiber, because if you're up on your electrolyte levels, you will not have issues in the digestive department. Okay, so that reminds me of my question at the beginning. So I'm going to go back to the very beginning, and you guys can ask your questions down, and I am just going to go down the list. I'm going to try really hard not to talk for 2 hours today. Really hard, because I feel bad for the people who want to watch it later and it takes up half their lives. And you guys can come in and out, and maybe they go in and out, but I feel like people who watch it later really push hard to watch the whole thing, and I feel kind of mean making it be so long. And I appreciate that the people come back and watch this, because I don't know, I wouldn't. I just don't have time. Like, well, you guys know I don't have time. Like, I don't have time even to do this, and I'm doing it anyway because I love you. So there. Okay, going back to the top, let's see. Emily's life. Okay, so she asked me, I know you focus on sodium supplementing, thoughts on my magnesium and potassium. So if you go to my Keto for Beginners playlist, the second video, there's only 3 videos in there. It's very short. The second video in there talks about electrolytes in depth. But I will say, I recommend sodium and magnesium supplementation and getting high potassium from foods. So I don't recommend potassium supplementation. I recommend sodium supplementation. And the reason why is because when your sodium drops, your body drops your potassium first. It is potassium that you need, not necessarily sodium. But your body will drop the potassium first because it thinks it needs the sodium more, which maybe it does, but that is just how your body does it. So when you go onto a ketogenic way of eating and your body starts to drop all that water and let go of all that inflammation, it also takes all your electrolytes with it. So if your sodium gets too low in that process, it will drop your potassium in order to preserve your sodium. That's why you get muscle cramping. Potassium is key. If you choose to supplement potassium, I am not going to advise on that other than to say, do not go above 4,500 milligrams of potassium, and don't supplement sodium except for what you put on food if you're choosing to supplement high potassium, because the two of them work like this in tandem. And if you're supplementing sodium, you want to keep your potassium from foods, and vice versa. If you're supplementing potassium, you keep your sodiums from foods. The worry I have is that when supplementing potassium, a lot of entries in foods, especially in MyFitnessPal, do not include the potassium. So you need to make sure very carefully that everything you track has a potassium number if it has potassium in it. So it takes a little bit more work, because you really do not want to go too high on your potassium, because too high on potassium can actually stop your heart. Whereas too high on sodium may cause you to have water retention. Like, it's not going to stop your heart immediately if you get too high. Dr. Finney recommends not going above 16,000 milligrams of sodium. At least on his live chats, that's what he has said. But he didn't really give a reason. He didn't really say it was dangerous. I really don't feel like it's as dangerous as going too high on potassium, which is why I err on the sodium side when advising people to supplement electrolytes. Plus, keeping the sodium up keeps your potassium from foods up. I only need 1,000 to... I usually get about 1,200 potassium a day, and I am golden if I keep my sodium up. If I let my sodium drop too much and I hit really bad keto flu, like when I have muscle cramping, I do need to supplement potassium a little bit to get back to where I was. I can't just seem to quite get there from just food alone. And so I do also put a sprinkle of light salt on my eggs in the morning to give just a little bit of a boost. But light salt's pretty much the only potassium supplement that I use. I used to use a Zip Fizz whenever I would hit keto flu, but I realized really quickly that Zip Fizz makes me have chest pain, and I can't drink it. I don't know if it's the high potassium in it or if it's something else that's in it, but I don't drink it anymore because it actually gives me chest pain. So I don't drink it. But it does have about, I think, 870 milligrams of potassium in it. I also don't track my diet soda, which also has some potassium. So I'm probably getting more than 1,200 a day because I do drink quite a bit of diet soda. I don't even know if Bang has potassium in it. I don't know if, I haven't even looked. It does, 85 milligrams. And I drink one of these a day. So I guess that puts me up to almost 1,300 right there. And I don't always put these in my tracker because I just don't. But you could. So if you're doing potassium supplementation, you have to. So that's what I want to stress. If you choose to supplement potassium, don't worry about sodium so much, just salt your food. And make sure you track it religiously. Be very, very careful with it. Try to stay under 4,500 milligrams. I wouldn't go above that. It's just danger territory. Now, I know Dr. Berg recommends a ridiculously high amount of potassium. He also doesn't recommend sodium supplementation. He also sells his little powders. Don't waste your money on people's powders, guys. It's way cheaper to just do your own. If you want to supplement potassium, you just get some potassium citrate powder from Amazon and do it that way. You don't need to buy fancy powders or anything to get potassium. So does that answer your question for those two? Yes. Now, magnesium, I do recommend. So I choose to take magnesium glycinate for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's very relaxing. And number two, it helps with sleep. It also seems to keep me regular without making me too regular. Now, I did just switch about 6 weeks ago, I switched from ZHOU, ZHOU brand magnesium glycinate because they started adding oxide to their formula. I started switching from that to the Cal brands, Kal, and I have to say that the Cal brand sucked. I don't know if they're just lying about what's in their product, but I have never had so many digestive problems as being on the CalMag. And I just switched back this week to the ZHOU, which has oxide in it, which probably is just a waste of making the pill bigger. But the glycinate in that seems to be working a lot better. In fact, when I started taking that, my depression started really improving. And I was like, I wonder if it was my low magnesium that was causing part of the problem in January, or if it's just I'm getting over the January blues. I don't know. I've been taking more D3. There's a million things it could be. There's a million things. But I switched back to the ZHOU brand, and I'm so much happier in the digestive department. So not all glycinates are created equally, and so I can't recommend the best brands. I have tried Doctor's Best, but honestly, the best one I've tried is ZHOU. or Zoo. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's disappointing that they started adding a bunch of oxide and making the pills super huge and hard to take. But I'm still going to keep taking them because it seems to be the best bang for the buck when it comes to glycinate. Now, you can take other magnesiums. I personally don't recommend oxide, especially if it's the main one, because oxide basically is only 4% absorbable. It's not really going to do you as much good. You have to take it more often during the day for it to do what it needs to do. I don't recommend citrate. I know they do over on ketogenic dieters. Recommend it a lot, actually. They recommend doing magnesium calm a lot.